Hello, California, and welcome to this week's edition of Your Financial Compass, the show dedicated to helping you successfully navigate to and through your retirement. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and I'm joined by two members from Bulman Wealth Group. We've got Chris Bulman, who is the founder, and Scott Villan, financial advisor. We've got a great show for you this week. The reality is a lot of retirees are concerned about running out of money. If that's you, you're definitely going to want to stick around. We're going to be sharing some solutions that a lot of folks are turning to help solve that income problem in retirement. Chris, Scott, always a joy to be back with you. How are you this week?
Good to be here.
Chris was upset before the show started because they were adjusting the seat height. And he thought he should be taller, like he wanted to be like a foot over me.
Every great leader in the past has situated their chairs higher than everyone else's.
Yeah.
So.
Chris is actually 5 foot tall. You can't tell.
Well, as long as it doesn't look like you're sitting at the kids' table, right?
He's got the swimmer's torso. Yeah.
Well, if you're new to us, we like to have a lot of fun here. This is not your typical retirement planning show, and in fact, a lot of folks have commented that when they've called and come in to meet with you guys, right? They've said, we really like how real and funny and relatable you are.
About me, they said about Chris, like, he's not going to be meeting with us, is he? So.
Definitely we keep it real.
Yes, you do, for sure. Well, back to the serious subject at hand, however, about the fear of running out of money. And in fact, only 40% of Americans currently say that they feel confident about their retirement savings. So it is so crucial to have a solid plan in place to help you figure out how you can make sure that you're not going to outlive your money. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So I want to start off and ask, what is one way that you're able to help the folks that you work with supplement their income in retirement?
Well, one of the ways, kind of all this will end up pointing back to annuities, which sometimes can be a bad word.
Yeah,
but
don't change the channel. We just said
please.
that word, right?
Yeah, it's. But anyhow, think about it, when it comes to income in retirement, generally pensions, that was the way to go for the longest time. I think 1981, 84% of people had a pension. Mm-hmm. Now it's 15% as of 2022, so they're not as common, but people like that stream of income, like a pension, like Social Security, rental income, what have you. So one of the ways that we're able to kind of create our own pension is through the use of an annuity. There's different types of annuities. They do different things, but one of them can be treated as essentially you give a company a certain amount of money, depending on how long you wait to turn on that stream of income. Once you turn it on, it's going to pay you that amount forever. So there is some value to that. Mm-hmm. It's almost a surrogate to the pensions of the past, which obviously we live in the Sacramento area. There's a lot of state workers with pensions, but just overall, nationally, the numbers are coming down in terms of people that have them.
Right. Well, because in 1978, when they did the Revenue Act, what happened? They did away with a lot of pensions and instead put the responsibility on us as the employee. That's when they introduced the 401k, the 403b, all these workplace retirement plans. No longer did the companies want the burden of saying, yes, we're going to guarantee that we're going to pay out money for the rest of your life. And so that's where that massive shift happened.
Yeah, absolutely. You pulled the 401k at Bulman Wealth Group.
What's that?
No, I said you pulled it. I said he pulled the 401k. He didn't. It's really nice, actually. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up 1978. If you look at the 80s and the 90s and the big bust or boom we had in the stock market, most people don't know. A lot of that's caused by the exact act you talked about. And now all of America has the opportunity to work for a company that a lot of companies continue to add 401ks to their retirement plans, right? So it's supply and demand. When you have more and more people buying, you have more and more demand, that drives up the prices. And we saw the stock market just go through the roof in the 80s and the 90s.
Right.
So yeah, and then as you enter into today, a lot of people don't have annuities. A lot of people don't have pensions. And I can tell you, if you're sitting there right now and maybe you have $1 million, $2 million. This is the most money you've ever had. Maybe you just sold a house. Yeah. Maybe you just got an inheritance. And all of a sudden the whole world looks different to you. It's, wow, I have $1 million in my checking account, or $2 million, or $3 million. The last thing you want to do, some of you, is go and put it in the stock market. It scares the heck out of you.
Because you don't want to lose it.
Exactly.
There's always that potential, right? Yeah.
I think all of us, we're trained to believe, and we do believe, as in our 30s and 40s and 50s, we need to participate in the stock market because the market always goes higher, and it always does go higher. Historically, it always comes back to a new highest level. But when all of a sudden you have a big chunk of money and you've never had it before, or you've built this big chunk of money and you're not working anymore, you're starting to look for some protection.
Yeah.
You're starting to look for a way to have your money grow but never take a step back. Maybe you want to have one foot in and one foot out.
Right.
And that's where an annuity can really play a vital role.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. So this annuity word we've already established often gets a really bad reputation. I think a lot of folks have been conditioned to hear or to think and believe that all annuities are bad. Well, not all annuities are created equal. And what's interesting is when people often say that blanket statement of, I hate annuities, but then you ask them, well, do you like the fact that you do have a pension? Oh, yeah, I love my pension. Do you like the fact that you have Social Security? Oh, yeah, I love my Social Security check. Guess what? Those two things are forms of annuities.
Yeah.
So explain what an annuity actually is and why it can be a beneficial tool if the right kind is used.
Well, first off, let me just quickly touch on every financial tool, period, has a pro and a con, from Bitcoin to stocks, bonds, mutual funds, annuities. And understanding they're not all bad, all good. So
Right.
just mentioning that. But going back to what you're saying, annuities, you can trace back the history of them in some form for hundreds of years. You know, they weren't insurance company annuities, but the concept of them, of giving someone money and then they're paying you out a certain amount over a series of years or the rest of your life, has been a concept that's been around, like I said, for a very long time. It's nothing new, but generally they're done through an insurance company. These insurance companies are, you know, we always talk about banks and how banks are regulated. Insurance companies are exceptionally regulated, so they're generally safer havens. And when you're looking for an insurance company to provide an annuity, these insurance companies are rated. You know, like A, B, C, D. Obviously, the higher the better. So.
Right.
If and when we choose to use them in a particular situation, we want to use a company that's an A-rated company, has been around for a long time, a history of paying out, and it's kind of a peace of mind product. It's not a fit in every situation, but
Right.
like you said, and we keep touching on, being able to create that stream of income, there's a certain peace of mind to it, knowing that a large insurance company institution's kind of backing it, that's A-rated, I think adds a further layer of kind of comfort,
Yes.
so to speak.
Right. Well, going back to this example you shared, Chris, let's say that somebody does sell a property, for example, and now they have $1 million and they're wondering what to do with it. And to your point, they're saying, I'm not sure I want to put this in the stock market because I don't want to lose it. So how would an annuity potentially be the right tool for that lump sum of money?
Well, again, this is a place that you can put money. You have access to the money when you need it, and there's going to be parameters or rules. Usually it's maybe a 10% free withdrawal per year. It's your money, but they're giving you benefits, and to get those benefits, you need to sort of be willing to lock it up for a time period. Now, if it's a 7-year annuity, that means it'll be a 7 years of a liquidity charge. Could be 9%, 8%, 7% per year. But when you put your money into a vehicle like this, you realize we're not talking about variable annuities, by the way. If we're talking about variable annuities, we're talking about fees, you have volatility, you have everything that you have in the regular stock market plus fees.
And those are often the type of annuity that have given all annuities
And everyone, correct.
a bad name,
And
right?
they blanket it all in.
You
Right,
got it.
so,
A variable
yeah.
annuity is really going to be just a bunch of, I don't want to say just, but a bunch of mutual funds, right? With, there could be some protections, there could be some income riders, but it's loaded with extra fees. Your average fees are going to be 2 to 5% generally in a variable
year.
annuity. In a fixed index annuity or an equity index annuity, we're talking about being able to participate in the market on the upside. So if you have $1 million, you just inherited $1 million, and you say, you know, Grandma left this money to me, I don't want to lose it. She left it to me and expects me to be a good steward of it. I want to make sure this money lasts. What would happen in an annuity is when the market goes up, you go up. When the market goes down, your money's still where it started, and it can't go down. I mean, that's as simple as I can put it. You can, it's like a pizza. If you want to have a cheese pizza, it's one cost. If you want to add pepperoni and sausage, it's $1, you know.
Right, per topping.
Chris always seems to work food into every show somehow.
It's a helpful analogy,
Hamburgers,
right?
pizza.
We all eat every day, don't we?
Yes, we do.
After all. So and the reason I bring up those extra fees, if you want to add in an income rider, maybe there's an extra fee for that. Maybe it's 0.5% or 1% extra fee. And an income rider basically is just going to give you a guaranteed income stream for the rest of your life. Well, what does that mean? It could be a 5% income stream. It could be a rising income stream where, you know, you get an extra, whenever the market goes up, you get an income stream increase. There can be lots of different ways to do it. But if you want your money to grow, have the potential to grow and not go backwards, that's where an annuity might fit.
So you're capturing some of the upside without
don't
the
get
downside, but without the downside risk.
Correct.
And that's the benefit. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, I know that we are committed to providing folks with the opportunity to connect with you and the entire team of Bulman Wealth Group in order to receive your very own financial compass review. Explain to our viewers a little bit more about what they can expect when they connect with you guys to come in and get that review.
Well, the first thing to expect is just a conversation, because this can be scary territory for a lot of people. So if this is you watching, you're a little hesitant, you can call in, you're going to have a conversation so we can find out, get a better idea of your situation, what concerns you have, what questions, and then see who it makes sense to talk to, which advisor it makes sense to talk to. But it all starts there, so you're not diving into the deep end. And if you have questions about what we're talking about today or anything in your financial picture, call the number below, scan the little QR code, and set up a time to talk.
Wonderful. Well, Scott, Chris, I'm excited to continue this conversation with you, but this is an excellent opportunity for you to connect with the team of Bulman Wealth Group to receive your very own complimentary financial compass review. To claim yours, simply call the number on the bottom of your screen, 888-970-4685. Or if you'd rather connect online, if you simply pull out your smartphone, you can open up that camera app, just point, click, and scan that QR code that you see there down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you over to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and then a member of the team from Bulman Wealth Group will reach out to connect with you to schedule your complimentary meeting that way as well. We'll be back with more on this week's episode of Your Financial Compass right after this.
I became a financial advisor coming out of the tough times of the tech bubble in the late 90s, early 2000s. Moved to California, uprooted my life, changed everything, and then 9/11 happened the first week in this industry. I was prepared already to help people from tough times coming out of the tech bubble, but what we didn't expect is there were 3 years in a row when I started of the market dropping. That really impacted my whole career. It crafted and created how we manage money. We don't want our clients to ever lose like that. And so everything we do is built on protection. The goal of our practice and the people that we meet with is to remove the fear and uncertainty that we all face, and it goes back to those first years in the market.
I was a sportscaster on television. I grew up in Flint, Michigan. In TV, you bounce around, and went to Mississippi and worked at the NBC station there and covered, college football's big, NFL's big, all that stuff. And a guy I knew relatively well in a different state decided to get out of TV, and in this opportunity I always enjoyed finance and money, and it seemed really exciting. I like to communicate to folks and feel like I can communicate well. It was such a fresh, kind of different career than what I was used to that it was exciting.
We go into every meeting with no place to get. We're there to meet with you, to discover your needs, find out where you are at that point, and how we can help you build and craft that plan for the future.
Well, welcome back to Your Financial Compass. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, here with financial advisors Chris and Scott from Bulman Wealth Group. And a great conversation that we are having today, all about how a lot of folks are concerned about running out of money in retirement. So we're focusing on one of the tools that can actually help give you peace of mind to know that you're going to be okay long term. And that is, of course, using the right kind of annuity inside of a full financial comprehensive plan. And again, that's the point, right? That you don't ever want to put all of your money into any one financial tool. What's right for one person may not be right for another person. So this is an important tool that can be utilized effectively if it's the right situation, the right tool for the right person, right?
Absolutely. And the first thing I'll say is when you call Bulman Wealth Group, there's no sales pitch, right? We are not an annuity company trying to sell annuities. We are not a stock company trying to sell stocks. We're a financial planning company, and we build a financial plan, and with your input, and we understand your risk, your situation, your taxes, your income streams, et cetera. Then we explain all the different investments, and Scott mentioned it earlier. Every investment has positives and negatives. I mean, if you could just buy the stock market when the stock market's going up and sell it the day before it goes down, well, that's what you should do. So if you know those,
right.
If you know
if
those
we all
dates,
knew that, we'd all be rich, right?
Perfect, yes. But there are some of us that cannot sleep at night knowing that the stock market could drop tomorrow. They announce a new president, the stock market goes up. They announce that Russia or the U.S. is going to fire missiles into Russia, the stock market goes down. They announce, Tesla, something's happening, the stock market goes up. They announce North Korea is joining Russia, the stock market goes down. A lot of us don't like that. We can't handle that up and down pressure.
That volatility, yeah.
So it's interesting. I'll give you a quick story. I have a client that probably 5 years now, minimum, they've been a client. And they came in and said, we don't like annuities. We don't want annuities. We have plenty of money, plenty of income. We don't need to have protection like that. Perfect. So we manage our money in the stock market all these years. Every year, they watch the news too much, I will say that. So watching the news has them scared to death about the stock market.
Right.
So they came in a couple years ago and said, we want to put some in a protected account where we can't lose money. This is 2 or 3 years ago. This past month when I met with them, they said this. They said, we were going through all their accounts, and they said, that one, is that one the one that makes me feel warm and fuzzy and cuddly at night?
Right.
And I was like, wow, that's not what you said a few years ago. But after they've owned it a few years, they realize it took away all their stress of losing money in the stock market.
Yes.
And that's what an annuity can do. Now, if the stock market goes up 30%, guess what? You're not going to make 30%. You might make 6, 8, 12, something like that, but you're not going to make 30. But when the market drops 5, 10, 20, or 30, you don't lose a dollar.
Right.
And that's actually the Bulman Wealth, kind of mantra is warm, fuzzy, and cuddly.
That's my middle name.
You've often said when you first meet with people, you want to know what keeps them up at night and also what gets you excited in the morning. And I think those two things together, that's always stuck with me because that's a really powerful way to understand where someone's at, what goals they have, and what needs they have for a financial plan. I'm curious, what are some of the other benefits that annuities can bring? Obviously, we've talked about capturing the upside, some of the upside without having that downside risk, but what are some of the other things that an annuity can do?
Yeah, another one is tax deferral on gains. So think of like the way a 401k or an IRA works. Each year as you're hopefully earning on those investments, those taxes the taxes are deferred. You're not taxed along the way. So you're not taxed on the year you earn them. And it's the same with annuities. So you put in, we used that example earlier. You inherit $1 million, put it in there and say you made $50,000 the first year. Well, you're not taxed on it that year and it just builds up over time. You will be taxed eventually when you pull money out, but it does defer taxes. We talked about the way you can create your own pension, create your own stream of income. That can supplement Social Security or other streams of income that you want to have. And as we've touched on, risk mitigation. It's a tool. We cannot stress that enough. And say John or Jane Doe has $1 million, it doesn't all have to be sectioned off into risky stuff, not risky stuff. I mean, we can compartmentalize. You have a meal. You don't just generally have an entree. You have sides. It can be the same with your investment portfolio. So maybe you just tuck off a certain portion of it. You don't want to lose any money. Then maybe an annuity makes sense. Or maybe you've done research and you hate annuities. Well, guess what? We don't have to use them. But at least understand the pros and cons.
For sure.
And what might be right for you is not for someone else. So it's just entering the conversation that way. As Chris said, we don't care what you do as long as it works and you understand why you're using it and why we're using it with you.
Exactly, and what it's accomplishing for you, for sure. Well, we always want to provide that fair and balanced discussion on the show, so let's look at some of the drawbacks. When would an annuity not be right for someone?
Well, specifically, we'll go back to that $1 million example. If you inherited $1 million or you have $1 million sitting there liquid in a non-qualified account, and you want to spend $500,000 or $700,000 on a house in the next year, 2 years, 5 years. Well, we can't put that money in an annuity because there's going to be a period of illiquidity.
Maybe it's going to get locked up, but you won't be able to access
I hate to use the word locked up because you can get to it.
Right, well, yes, but without, sorry.
It's not locked up like Scott was 5 years ago.
Yeah, I'm on witness. Scott's not my real name.
No.
No, but there is a surrender schedule. So now, if you did need to get access to your money, you always have that 10%, on most annuities, 10% free withdrawal, and then the rest of it you can still get to, and this is a very important point actually. Let's say you're 3 years in and the surrender schedule is a 6% surrender. So if you have $1 million, you can get $100,000 with no penalty. The other $900,000 at 6%, that's a $54,000 surrender penalty.
Surrender charge, yeah.
I just want to say, you're always going to pay to, if the stock market's down, you're going to pay to someone. You're going to either pay it in taxes, you're going to pay it in loss. Let's say the market's down 20%, and now you're scared and you want to get out. If you were in an annuity, and you wanted to get out, your penalty is only 6%, as we just described. The stock market's 20%. So it ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's better to be here or there, which is why we go back to diversity and having a financial plan and why that's important.
Well, I'm sure a lot of viewers watching might already have an existing annuity contract, and I know when they come in to meet with you for this Financial Compass review, that's part of what you'll talk about, is reviewing existing contracts and see if what they're invested in is in fact in their best interest. So what would you say to someone who's going, I'm not even sure what I've got?
Well, and that's generally the case because annuities are so much more plentiful in terms of if we're meeting with someone new, we're coming across a lot more people that have them, and that might be you, and you probably got this annuity years ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, and you have no idea what it does, the good and bad of it, and you might just need it re-explained, or you just need a whole new second look at your entire situation, annuities included. If that is the case, call the number below. You can scan the QR code. We'll set up a time to have a conversation, see if we can answer your questions or add value, and see where it leads us.
Wonderful. Scott, Chris, thank you. Again, this is for no cost, no charge, no obligation. As Scott said, simply an invitation to have a conversation to see how the team of Bulman Wealth Group can help and serve you. So to claim your complimentary Financial Compass review, call 888-970-4685, or again, you're welcome to scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. When we come back, what are some other questions that you might want to be asking yourself if you're trying to consider if an annuity could be right for you? Stay with us to find out.
Successful retirement to me is someone who doesn't have to worry about where their next paycheck's going to come from, where the income's going to come from. Are they going to run out of income? Are they going to run out of money? Are they going to meet their financial goals with respect to maybe they want to leave money to their children? Maybe they want to leave money to a philanthropy or a university.
Being able to wake up and know the day's an open slate and not having to worry about things. Or say someone's going on a trip with family, they're going to the beach, and if the headline says, the market's down again or something, they're not concerned. Bulman Wealth has my back here. We've got a plan in place. My portfolio is set up in a way that concern is not there.
All the pieces fit together like a puzzle. When that all fits together and you can see the peace of mind that gives families, that is a successful retirement.
As Americans, we strive for better. From a better house, to a better career, to a better life for our kids. Better has become the American way. But when it comes to your retirement, what does better mean to you? More income? A flexible lifestyle? Better solutions? A better retirement begins with a plan. To get your complimentary written financial plan, call the number you see here. You only retire once. This is your opportunity to plan for better.
Welcome back to Your Financial Compass, where today we've been discussing kind of an Annuities 101, what they are, what they can potentially do for you. And for some folks, it might be the right tool to accomplish certain purposes within your overall comprehensive financial plan. So that's what I want to ask you guys about now. For our viewers who are watching, who've heard what we've talked about so far, they're hearing some of the examples, and they're going, you know what? I might want to have an annuity. I might want to be able to capture some of the upside, but also have that downside protection against risks that you don't have when you're just invested in the stock market. What are some questions folks should consider when they're trying to figure out, okay, could an annuity be right for me?
I think some of the questions are, how much income do I need in retirement? A question might be, how much risk am I capable of sleeping at night with, to determine if an annuity might be a fix to help you sleep better. Are you working with a fiduciary right now whose sole job isn't to sell you annuities? Or even a fiduciary who doesn't believe in annuities, who only wants to pound stocks, mutual funds, bonds down your throat? So all those things really matter. They really do. And I think to work with someone who doesn't have a horse in the race, someone who's just there to educate you and then help you to choose which is best for you based on your individual situation.
I love that, because that is really what you all are doing at Bulman Wealth Group, is you're presenting, here are all the options, here are all the tools, these are our recommendations, but at the end of the day, it's your hard-earned money. You get to decide what you want to have done with it, but you're empowering people to make the best decisions possible.
You're exactly right. People want to make a choice because it is your money. You don't want to be told what to do. And that's where someone comes in and we analyze the situation, get to know them, what are the goals, all these different things. Then from our experience, we can make suggestions, but at the end of the day, it is your choice because it is your money. I always joke, I'm just the chauffeur of the car. You know, you told me where you want to go. I'll make sure you get there, but I'm still the chauffeur. But people want to see the pros and cons. If all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, as Chris was kind of saying. It's like if someone's just hawking annuities, that's a fit for everything. Or if someone hates annuities and it's only investing in the market. I think there's some blind spots there. So it's you know, anytime we're sitting down and figuring out the plan for someone, I think of a story several years ago. I've been working with this husband and wife for about 5 years. And when we first started working together, we kind of reappropriated their portfolio and we put a portion of it, probably 20% in an annuity. Said, hey, this is the safer bucket, so to speak. Well, the next year, the market was doing exceptionally well, stock market. Their income, or not their income, but their investments were doing well. The annuity just kind of sat there. And they're like, oh gosh, Scott, I know you said this is a good thing, but we're really second guessing it. I said, I hear you, that makes sense. There will be a time where it shines. You know, the next year, the market dropped considerably. Well, guess what? The annuity didn't drop a dime. Like, oh, okay. So it is a tool. We cannot stress that enough. It can't answer all the questions or solve all the problems.
Right.
But it might solve more of your problems than it would for someone else. And maybe in that case, it's a fit or not. And all we can do is present the options. We love the fact we have all the tools, and then you're able to choose one.
And I'll say, you know, we've just come through an election, right? And I'm not going to get political here, but depending on the news channels you watch, everything is going to be slanted in one direction or the other.
Right.
And trying to get you to vote a certain way or do a certain thing. And I think the same thing can happen in the financial world. You can hear only one side of the story and slant you to do a certain thing. And really what an advisor you should be working with is someone who has your best interests at heart and is willing to give you all of the information. Transparency.
Yes.
If we ever write our second book, it should just be called Transparency, because if we provide transparency, you then have all of the tools you need, the knowledge you need to make your own decision. And that's really what we want to do. If it's an annuity, fine. If it's not an annuity, fine.
Right.
Again, that's not our concern. What our concern is to make sure that you have all the information.
And that'll be the second book. The third book is one you've thought about, Dating Tips from Chris Bulman. That'll be the third one. So let's just get
It's already antiquated. I don't know anything about that.
Well, what parting thoughts would you like to leave with our viewers after we wrap up this discussion today?
As we always say on these shows, on the radio show, and our podcast, when we meet with people, seminars, this is a very intimidating field if you're looking at it from the outside. And it's like, all these acronyms, all these tools, I don't know what to do. Pump the brakes, take a deep breath. You can call the number below, scan the QR code, go to our website, see all the material we have on there. But all we want to do is have a conversation to begin to open the door to see if we can help. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. Hopefully you learn something. But if any of these questions are something you've been concerned about, call the number below, and we'll see where we go with it.
Wonderful. Scott, Chris, thank you so much. And thank you for watching. We look forward to being back with you next time here on Your Financial Compass.